The threat of terrorism by religious and political extremists on societies throughout the world is creating a new global landscape, where victory is not always measured by deploying superior forces onto a traditional battlefield. For America, the weapon of choice employed against this threat to international stability is a classified U.S. military force known as Special Operations Command, or SOCOM. SOCOM is, in effect, a separate branch of the armed forces, with 44,000 Special Operations Commandos drawn from the Army, Air Force, and Navy.
Yeah, direct hits right there.
The SOCOM mission is unconventional warfare, a concept involving the strategic use of American military special operations against narco-terrorist and state-sponsored terrorism. Two of the most renowned units in the special operations community are the U.S. Navy SEALs and the U.S. Army Special Forces, known as the Green Berets. Identified by their professional reputation for aggression, these secret soldiers operate in a severe and classified environment, requiring a commitment and expertise beyond the scale of traditional combat missions. The war on terror is a byproduct of the political tensions of the 21st century. For America's secret soldiers, who are currently deployed worldwide under the auspices of the Department of Defense and the National Security Council, modern battlefields can be about enforcing the peace as much as waging war.
You are now clear to engage the moving vehicle.
Afghanistan is a country the size of Texas, with over 20 million inhabitants. Bagram Air Base, 30 miles outside the capital city of Kabul, is the main staging area for Operation Enduring Freedom, a U.S.-led allied coalition in the war on terror. From here and smaller bases in the south, military operations search for remnants of the defeated Taliban and al-Qaeda network in the first special operations-led war ever conducted by the United States.
We're not fighting artillery, we're not fighting tanks, we're not fighting face-to-face with an enemy. We're fighting with an enemy that is established here, and they're able to hide among the population.
Clusters of abandoned or destroyed mud brick houses stand silent. Wrecked vehicles litter the trails. Afghanistan is a land virtually destroyed after 25 years of war. To operate effectively here, U.S. Special Forces must depend on the cooperation of the local population.
They know their way around this whole area, so we can just say, hey, we need to go right here. And they'll say, okay, well, you can't go this way because there's mines. You can't go this way because the mountains are high and the Mujahideen always used to ambush people here. This is the best route.
Working with indigenous Afghan militia units of up to 120 strong, small teams of Special Forces commandos operate throughout Afghanistan. In this hostile terrain, American and Allied forces regularly come under fire.
You got danger everywhere you look. You got to keep your wits about you. Just because people aren't dying, people may think that this war is over. It's not.
It's never 100% safe. I'm down here wearing body armor, carrying 2 guns. So, I mean, anything could happen. You got a lot of people traveling through here. It's a major thoroughfare coming from and going to Pakistan. At any given time, somebody can drive by in one of these trucks and drop a grenade out the window. It happened just the other day.
With the Taliban defeated, Afghanistan is essentially ruled by a collection of rival tribal warlords and warring ethnic groups. Here at a fire base named Camp Harriman near Orgun, Special Forces adapt themselves to that reality.
Warlord probably is just another term for politician. The same thing that happens in politics across the world is happening here. You've got people who are in it for themselves, and you've got people who are in it for the team. You have to keep in mind what the focus of this mission is, and that is for us to eliminate al-Qaeda. And a lot of times that has some dilemmas to it.
An old saying, to truly know your enemies, you must first become their friends. As far as the loyalties go, wherever the money's at is pretty much where they're going. They're following the money. And right now, the Americans are the big boys on the block. They got the most money, so that's where their loyalties are.
At the gates of Camp Harriman, everyone is carefully searched by American troops guarding the camp perimeter. The Green Berets know the enemy could be hiding in plain sight.
Police noticed a guy that was not from this area walking along the brick wall back there. They hollered out to him, tried to detain him. He just kind of jumped off the wall. They got in a semicircle around him. They were getting ready to detain him, take him into the police station. When they tried to detain him, he just smiled at him, pulled the pin, dropped the grenade. Grenade went off, bam, blew him back into there, and he fell down into the ditch.
The danger runs a whole spectrum of things, everything from unconventional type attacks to conventional type attacks, and we try to protect against pretty much anything the enemy can think of.
Special forces constantly search for weapons to prevent their falling into the hands of local warlords. It is a task involving diplomacy and sometimes confrontation.
What you're looking at is a cache of arms that we've managed to recover from the warehouses in town. The big profit is that they take this stuff and they sell it in Pakistan. And the bad guys get it and shoot it right back at us. There's just hundreds of thousands of rounds here. You see over here we have the array of artillery pieces we took. And we've got rounds for all of them. It's just unreal how much is out here and how easy it is to get to.
We had an incident here a couple weeks ago where some kids had got a hold of some 12.7 millimeter rounds for a Russian heavy machine gun, and they were trying to disassemble them so they could sell the metal, and they had a little assembly line going up. Well, they got out of sequence, and the guy who punched the primer got a bullet that hadn't yet been disassembled. He punched the primer with a hammer, the bullet exploded and injured 3 of the children.
Special forces are, in effect, attempting to disarm a country where social status is measured by carrying a weapon.
In Afghanistan, it's believed that you are not a man unless you have a rifle. I confiscated an AK-47 from a man, and he flat out told me that if I go home without my rifle, my wife will laugh at me because I am no longer a man.
Confiscating these weapons earns the SF huge points from the locals, who continue to suffer daily from death and severe injuries.
It was at nighttime. He was guarding the area. He had an RPG, and he had it pointing up into the sky. He was checking the safety, right? Yes. And then you pulled the trigger. And the back blast blew into your foot and almost lose your foot. He was very, very lucky.
Everybody had their guns blazing, ready to shoot somebody. And it was at that time that he had the AD with the RPG. So everybody was real keyed up, thinking we were getting shot at. It took about 2 or 3 minutes to figure out it was this guy that had done it by accident.
Yeah, you never do that again, huh? Don't pull the trigger. Check safety, but not the trigger.
Landmines of every type and design are buried throughout Afghanistan, some dating back over 20 years.
You want landmines? We got landmines. These are anti-tank mines, Mark 7s. They're British. Mon 100 big anti-personnel mine. Anti-personnel mines, small Italian anti-personnel mine. Yugoslavian, Soviet, Chinese P-72s. This is Chinese too, anti-personnel mine. It's a small anti-personnel mine. Pakistani claymores. The amount that's here is just ridiculous. It's actually kind of sad when you think about, you see a lot of people missing one leg and stuff, and you realize where it came from. They've estimated that there are 2 landmines per every Afghan person.
The more armament and weapons and high explosives we can get out of the civilian populace, the better. These people won't hesitate to shoot a heavy machine gun at their neighbor if their neighbor's goat crosses onto their land, and that's just taking it to the extreme.
Special forces live among the local populace to earn trust and help create civil stability. Teams learn the local culture, identify the key political and military players, and study the terrain. Their beards and relaxed physical appearance are designed to reduce attention.
All right.
Uniform changes based on the situation.
Big target, boys. Bring it up.
That's the bottom line. Sometimes it's for operational security reasons that we're trying to blend into the population. Sometimes it's because we have to look more like some of our conventional forces. We're adaptable. This is not a conventional war. We have to be able to change it as we see fit.
You want to fit in with the community you're with their culture, and their culture is about having a beard. So we have a beard and we blend in.
Acting on intelligence from an informant, Green Berets stop and remove 2 men from their vehicle on a public street. The situation is potentially tense.
Search him.
The Americans move smoothly but assertively, employing a minimum show of force. The two suspects are escorted to a vehicle for transportation back to the firebase, where they will undergo further questioning. It is a delicate balance between public relations and safety. The special forces know that these two men may be innocent people, victims of rumor or false witness. But intelligence is the lifeblood of the Green Berets' war on terror in Afghanistan, and no information goes ignored.
When the Russians were here, when they interrogated people, they beat them up, they shot them, they shot their kids, they shot their families, so it was very easy to get information. Most of the time it's hard to get any information or weapons, ammo from them because, for one, they're scared that whoever they're holding the weapons and ammo for is going to retaliate, and the other is they know that the Americans aren't going to harm them.
With no schools, no hospitals, and no service infrastructure, central government influence outside of Kabul is virtually non-existent. Often the Green Berets are the only Americans these locals have ever seen, and the soldiers are keenly aware that the local population is watching their every action, deciding if the Americans are trustworthy.
We come in and we tell them, hey, don't be scared. You don't have to be scared. We're here. We're not going to leave you. You communicate with them. You eat with them. Express to them the benefits of education, health, civil affairs, and it makes people trust you.
Our big push was getting girls into school. It's a culture thing. We have to get the people educated. I don't want my child coming over here having to fight the same war that I did.
Living in the middle of an area so close to the Pakistan border presents many dangers. Despite the risks of sudden al-Qaeda attacks, the cornerstone of the Special Forces mission depends on preserving their credibility to the local population.
I'm thinking this guy's from maybe Pakistan. If this guy is not good, then maybe they have.
They recognize him as an outsider. They knew he didn't belong
They
here,
have
right?
something. They came like that. I don't know.
Hands behind his back, hiding something.
The people that live around here are our first line of defense. They'll let us know if something bad's going to happen, if at all possible.
If the kids are hanging around, you know, the adults feel that the threat level's not that high at that time. These guys are like a parent anywhere. They're not going to let their kid get hurt. So if they know that something's not right, they're going to get their kids off the street. We spend money in their shops. I might come down here, buy paint from one vendor 4 or 5 times. Next time I come down here to spend some money, buy some paint or some chicken wire or something from him for our camp, he might give me a little tidbit of information that leads us to a weapons cache up in the mountains or whatever.
Our main mission, of course, is to hunt the al-Qaeda, find them, capture them, kill them, whatever it may be. We do not speak the language. We don't know what they look like. The local people know who the foreigners are, the people that don't belong in their communities, and they come up to you and they tell you where they're at, what they're doing, where the weapons are. We're going to walk down this way. I just came by to say hi.
Usually it's a lot more crowded than this. Come down here about midday. There's tons of people out here, a lot of kids. And these nuts that come over from Pakistan, they don't care. They'll drop a grenade right here in front of all these kids. They're just trying to hurt us, but it won't bother them if they hurt, if they hurt these kids. We've got a little shopping mall type deal in there. You can go in there and buy tennis shoes and all that shit. Oh, and this one, good God almighty, boy, who cut your hair? You are fine? You have a pen? I am fine. You speak English? No. You go to the school? Good, stay in school. School is important.
It is a personal relationship. You have to get personal with these people because you need their trust. With that trust comes understanding. They learn more about how we operate. We learn more about how they do things, and it's all personal.
The real reason I'm down here is what we call rapport building. Just getting out, talking to people, letting them know I'm here, letting them know the U.S. is here. Find out what their problems are, whether it be Wells, Al-Qaeda, Taliban, bandits, any problems they have. I listen to them, and then I bring them back to the compound, and I send it up to the chain of command. All these buildings are brand new. You can see the glass is brand new, the doors are brand new. This village is back alive. Little stores. This is brand new billiards. You guys come check this out. One game. No problem. All game playing when the Taliban were here was not allowed. They weren't allowed to play any sports.
Government is not allowed.
Yeah, wasn't allowed to play any of this stuff. Since we've been here.
Said it's not good.
It's not good, but it's good, huh?
It's good. I like it.
Yeah. Hey.
I think that the word has gotten out that the Americans are here to help out, so they come to us with information about weapons caches, armed caches, information about Al-Qaeda, and we use that information and exploit it as best we can.
Okay.
Centuries of tribalism and ethnic rivalries have bred generations of people born into war. Tribal divisions make loyalty to a central authority inherently difficult. The SF is attempting to forge the nucleus of a national army among a people with no tradition of national authority.
The Afghan soldiers that we have working with us, they're drawn here for various reasons. Some of them are motivated by bettering themselves in their lives monetarily. Some of them are motivated to honestly try and help out their country. That's the challenge of us as trainers and leaders of them, is to determine who's able to do the mission and who's not.
Soldiers, follow your instructors. Stay on to check your targets.
You've got guys who are born to go out and kill people, and there's guys that are not. Those that need further training, we do that. We train them up to standard.
Pretty much the entire culture here is real flowery, like with the jingle trucks. You can feel some of the dump trucks around here, and they got bells and stuff hanging off of them, and it goes as far as down to the guy's rifle. I got a guy out there who carries two little, they're like Christmas bells, real small bells, two of them hanging off the barrel of his rifle, and they jingle around when he moves the weapon. They are soldiers in fact that, you know, they're here fighting for a cause. They'd rather just mill around as opposed to being an organized fighting force, and that's where we come in and we organize them to the best of our ability and train them. But the language barrier is a problem, even with the Terps, because a lot of things that we say doesn't actually translate to them. I mean, it took me like an hour and a half to teach them how to get into formation.
We come into this country with our own set of ethics and our own set of morals, and to apply that to a culture that has a different set of ethics, and a different religion, a different set of values is really difficult. And that's where SF earns their money.
The men obviously don't respect their women here. They try to pawn everything off on their women because they know we're not going to touch their women. We don't get near their women. A lot of times the women have things hidden on them. There's nothing we can do about that. We don't want to go across their customs and cultures, because then it wouldn't be a fight against Al-Qaeda, it wouldn't be a fight against Taliban. It would just be a guy defending his woman, and it's not worth it.
Resupply and reinforcements for Fire Base Harriman are hours away by air. But every 12-man Green Beret A-team knows that their own initiative on the ground is the first line of defense to stop potential enemy attacks. This means knowing the area of operation intimately and being able to analyze information of suspected Taliban and Al-Qaeda whereabouts quickly and accurately. The response to good intelligence must then be immediate and aggressive. The Green Berets have to act before the enemy can disappear over the border into Pakistan.
Monty, this is Joey.
Today's mission is a raid on one of the many walled compounds that occupy the Afghan landscape.
Sheriff, I want that man and that man right there. Tell them when everybody comes out, they're to hold them right there and not let them go anywhere.
There were reports that there was Arabs inside the building. If they're Al-Qaeda, they're not coming out alive. So if you're not ready to go in and start doing what you have to do, someone's going to get hurt, and you don't want it to be your buddy.
This is the home of a mid-level Taliban military leader who is rumored to have stored a large weapons cache inside. Although the Taliban commander has gone into hiding in Pakistan, the Green Berets are in a race against time. They want to find the weapons before the local warlord does.
Tell them to open the door. Sheriff, tell that lady to open the door right now. If she doesn't open that door in 1 minute, I'm going to blow it off the hinges. I'm going to blow that door up.
For the Green Berets, the roles of nation builders and gunfighters coexist.
Which means they're in there hiding.
They must be able to switch between them as the situation demands, often at a moment's notice.
Did you see another door around the back?
Their survival may depend on it.
I'm gonna go gain entry to this building, dude. I'm not gonna wait for this woman to open this door. Come on. No, I'm taking Jim or Monty, one of you guys. Have 4 of the AMF go to the other side of the building and not to let anybody in or out.
Al-Qaeda has definitely changed their tactics. And you have to understand that when we say Al-Qaeda, we're not talking about the army. This is a loose organization that morphs and changes based on whatever suits it. They're very adaptable. You have to be able to adapt your tactics to what they're doing. They are a formidable force and they know what they're doing.
The Green Berets have no way of knowing what lies inside the walls of the compound.
I don't give a damn, who are you?
It could be an unarmed family.
Tell me to get back in the f***ing truck.
Or a hostile and heavily armed cadre of Al-Qaeda.
Move! Move! We're shared.
The thing that we've run into is when we knock on these doors, the men will stand at the door and the women will start hiding stuff. If you don't start going in the door as quickly as possible, then it's harder to find stuff. They try to hide things. That's the main reason. And you just gotta always be prepared for the worst to happen.
The Taliban and Al-Qaeda will use these walled compounds as hideouts or as a place to conceal weapons, with or without the consent of the occupants, who are often threatened if they refuse to cooperate.
Hey, if someone's in here, you need to come out. Some of the elders that run the villages, they know it's dangerous. They don't want to get repercussions from the Americans that they have weapons. So they may send somebody from their village to contact the Americans and tell them, hey, there's some weapons hidden over here. And we come get him, and he's happy because he doesn't have the rockets anymore. He doesn't have machine guns. Everything's gone. And he doesn't lose any face because the Americans took it, and he didn't give it to him. Tell me better watch that dog or kill him if it tries to bite me.
Aside from the politics of the search, the tension inside the walled fortress grows. The men are wary of booby traps, and when they encounter a large dog, the stress comes to a boiling point.
Get that dog. Get the dog.
The dogs here in Afghanistan are not like American dogs. They're not domesticated. They will not hesitate to bite you in an instant. We've had many incidences. We've gone into compounds, even driving around, that dogs have tried to bite us. So that's one of our biggest fears when we go in, is to know where the dogs are. There's nothing funny about a dog coming up and tearing you up.
With security established, the search now begins.
Tell them I want the weapons buried in the ground.
You should research my house.
I'm going to search your towers, and I'm going to have a metal detector. I'm going to detect if you buried shit. Boca? All right.
We got a hole. Ask that man if there's anybody down here. If I run into anybody down here, I'm going to shoot him. No, I'm going to go. Ask him if anybody's down here.
It's a tunnel. It's probably a tunnel to a well. Yeah, water. Ubu. Hobo. Hey, Larry, let's check this out. It's going crazy over here.
Might want to sweep with the detector there.
Looks like it's been dug up.
Well, no, it just looks like it could be dug up. He's got a big pot plant out front.
So if ZK's already been here, he's probably taken everything they already have.
ZK gets around?
Well, he used to, not anymore. He's in hiding because we're after him. That's
I wouldn't
not
mind
pot.
a team picture next to the
That's
dope
pot,
plant, though.
Hey, let's get a picture by it.
Okay.
Everybody take a picture. Look at DEA too.
No weapons are found, but it's obvious there were weapons here, and recently. The special forces want to know if it was Al-Qaeda or the local warlord who removed them. They question the nephew.
Ask them what the Arabs wanted when they came here. Yeah, I know about them. I know about the Arabs that come here. I know that shit. The problem here is some of the information you get isn't true. You have to take some of the information you get with a grain of salt, because you may have one warlord trying to take out another warlord. So you just question them, try to catch them in a lie.
What about the PK ammo?
PK?
Yeah, the machine gun ammo. I know Arabs visited. I know there's a Taliban Hilux right over here. I know there's weapons buried here.
Both the local warlord and the Arabs have been here already, and the weapons are gone. The nephew denies knowing anything about machine gun ammunition or marijuana plants. It's a dead end.
Hey, ask him where the Taliban Hilux is now. Which compound?
Today was unsuccessful, but 3 weeks after this patrol was filmed, 20 Taliban suspects are seized nearby, inside a warehouse filled with munitions and weapons. The local warlord, along with his brother, eventually flees the area to avoid arrest. This is a war of patience and force, information and planning, treachery and trust. This is the war that the SF fights every day in the war on terror.
Once we leave the region, it'll be unstable again, but Orgun is a safer place to live for the women and children and the men that live there now. We're not going to be able to change a culture within 6 months, a year, however long. It's going to take a while for people to start respecting each other as human beings. It's not as dangerous as it was 7 months ago, but it's still not safe.
I think eventually in the end, if we get the government structured properly and get them all working as a nation instead of as tribes individually, I think things will work out here.
Any country with a large urban population is a potential sanctuary for terrorist cells. Mixing into the landscape, using innocent people to cover their activities, is a traditional guerrilla tactic. Urban warfare requires a totally different approach to locating and attacking an enemy. Identifying the bad guys hiding among an innocent populace is the ultimate challenge in unconventional warfare.
You spot the enemy. In the old days, you probably saw them in a free fire zone, and you were allowed to bring all of your power to bear to deal with the enemy. Today, there's no such concept as free fire zone. Today, there needs to be a very, very strict rules of engagement that each of the operators deal with. They are, in fact, briefed by lawyers before they go onto an operation.
We can't just train for an all-out, free-for-all zone that they had, say, in World War II. So much more of the things that we get involved in now. You have civilians that are living there. You have very strict rules of engagement. It takes a lot of restraint, and it takes a lot of awareness of your surroundings.
Rules of engagement are set. They're set. If I'm going into a situation, let's say I'm doing a dynamic entry into a building. Once I'm inside that building and I'm doing that dynamic entry, the decision process is going to be up to the operator himself.
All clear!
Now, that takes a lot of training, and it takes a lot of decision process, especially when you're coming into the unknown, because 95% of the time we don't have the layout of a building. You don't know what you're going against, or intel may say it might be a family.
To combat the threat of state-sponsored terror and religious extremists requires dedication, concentration, and specialized training. It requires every special operations soldier to understand the enemy's mindset.
We definitely need to open our eyes. There are educated people out there obtaining information on very serious weaponry capable of injuring masses in cities, towns, villages, countries. To put your mindset on the level of a terrorist, you have to think of the things that they know. Their mindset is to kill innocent people, to attack the areas that maximize their kill zone, and to create fear. In The Art of War, Sun Tzu says, how do you defeat a great world power? You defeat him from internal, turning the populace into scared people that run around and don't know what to do from day to day.
Operating in an urban environment is a fact of life for counter-terrorist forces. It creates unique demands on units who must seek out and engage their enemies. Controlled aggression is a mainstay for special operations troops.
philosophy that we're trying to teach when we try to get guys out there moving is to think on their own, to look around and see what it is that needs to be done and do it. We don't want to teach them if this, then that. We want to teach them to think their way through a fluid environment, like an urban environment.
I thought it looked real good, guys. Let's go ahead and we'll get ready and we'll do another one.
Training has become more intense. It's also gotten to the point where we're working in probably a little bit bigger units. Training has gotten more technical. There's new equipment out there. And just because you have it as the good guys, nothing stating the bad guys don't have it.
Training in mock urban settings, Navy SEALs, Army Rangers, Delta Force Commandos, and Special Forces work regularly on moving, shooting, and concealment in order to survive the dangers that can lurk inside every building.
Guys have to be that much more aware of what it is that's going on. They have to be aware of their surroundings. We want to try and get them thinking on their feet.
Each operator has to be trained to be an independent thinker, a person that can react on his own each and every time as the situation changes.
Certainly there's always the possibility where enthusiasm could overcome capability, but we don't do that in special operations. Hope is not a method, nor is enthusiasm.
In urban combat, training an armed group of men to perform hostage rescue inside small rooms and fight and move inside buildings requires each team member to react to the circumstances without hesitation.
This is one of the most dangerous things that we have to go through because it's done in a group. Each person has to be thinking on his own. He has to react off the man in front of him. There's so many things to think about. Muzzle control, target discrimination, front sight focus.
In reality, once the bullets fly, the adrenaline goes. Smooth is fast, but you have to be able to think. The main thing is the individual just doesn't sit there, the individual reacts, because every tenth of a second could mean your life or your partner's life.
A warrior must walk the line between killing everything in sight and controlling his natural aggression that comes when threatened with a life and death situation. A critical goal in training is to move the soldier from the mindset of the predictable target shooting mentality into a real-world scenario that will allow each man to test his limits.
CQD stands for Close Quarters Defense. It is a system that's been developed to respond to both shooting and non-shooting threats. Slowly roll towards us.
The first step that we have to build within any military operator is the hard aspect, that they could kill if necessary. They will dominate and be aggressive at any time that they are threatened.
Don't move. Do you have any weapons on you? No. Don't fight me, don't resist, and you're not going to get hurt. You understand that? Yes. So we want these guys to be the most dynamic and the most aggressive in the fight. You have to respond appropriately to the threat against you. If it is a shooting threat, you need to be pulling the trigger first.
The success for the operator is the team ability to move and to use their skills and tactics in the best way possible to succeed. Of course, that starts with the individual.
Get out! Get out! Get away from the gun! You guys got to turn it up, all right? You got to turn it up. That little, hey, get up. Hey, get down. He would have done exactly what you said, except you guys looked weak, all right? So when you go, wait, get up, he was like, they ain't there. I'll go for it, all right? You see what I'm saying? You want to give him a no doubt in your mind by the way you present yourself, the confidence, the way you speak, the way you guys enter the room, that he does not want to mess with you.
Not the champion that we're all after. And it's not the one person who can master all skills and win as if it is a sport. It is not that at all. It is actually a high-risk environment, and it's everyone helping everyone to be able to defeat the threat against them.
Bring towards me. We want guys to be aggressive, dynamic warriors. I mean, we're preparing these guys to go to war. But on the flip side, we want to develop the person, too, so that you succeed not only in battle, but that you succeed in your personal life. And anything you attempt to take on, you're going to be successful. Index, let them go. You're on the wall.
Naval Special Warfare is the maritime component for the U.S. Special Operations Command. With approximately 4,000 personnel, SEALs and their special boat units execute the same basic missions of other SOCOM direct action forces, but usually operate in smaller numbers. Comfortable in water or on land, the SEALs have a reputation for an aggressive and ruthless style of attack.
We can go in and we can teach people how to shoot. And we help them build their bridges or whatever, but that's not good utilization of SEALs. Our specialty is the stuff that's very dynamic. You're in and you're out. It's quick. Give us the thing that's the hardest thing to do. Give us a little room and let us do it, and we'll do it right.
We're a group of men capable of supplying the firepower and punch needed to eliminate our adversary.
Ready for extract.
We get in, we get out. We hit harder than most units do. There's more violence of action.
In the field, SEALs work in units often numbering less than 18 men. Despite their exceptional skills as operators, SEALs depend more on stealth and adapting to the situation than firepower.
We're not trained to go in there and do a lot of things the way a normal force would. We do work in small numbers, and because of that, we have to pick and choose our fights. We have to do it when we know we can win.
Operating inside an enemy's backyard disrupts his movements, makes him cautious, and takes away his initiative. If a smaller-sized enemy force can evade larger conventional units, SEALs and other SOCOM forces will use different tactics to slow them down, like the ambush. The ambush can ensure the destruction of an adversary while preserving the survivability of a small force. SEALs use the ambush and its violence of action as a calling card and a reminder that the hunter can become the hunted.
You have to come to grips and make a conscious decision in your mind that I'm in fact going to kill people. I try to keep myself in neutral when it comes to that. I derive no pleasure nor sorrow. Just stay neutral. And to neutralize that target, you have in fact killed everybody within sight of hearing.
I hate to say that way, but that is a part of war. It sucks when civilians take casualties. It sucks when the wrong people die. But when you're engaging in your mission, you look around you, who's your family? The SEAL teams, that's your family. And everybody in the team comes home alive.
The SEALs train vigorously to prepare for war and are sensitive to criticism that their aggressive operational methods could be less than professional in the fight against terrorists.
To say that we act like a terrorist, that's not correct whatsoever. We act better than a terrorist. We are trained better. We are better men fighting for a good cause, fighting for truth.
What is a terrorist doing? Is there anything fair about what they're doing to operate? No. So if we're going to go find them, if we're going to hunt them down, we're going to kill them, are we supposed to do it fair? It just doesn't make any sense to me. Fighting fair, you don't do that against your enemies.
Was 9/11 fair to any of those people, or our country as a whole? Fighting fairly? Come on. It's a new world we're living in, and we have to root these guys up by being one step in front of them. If diplomacy worked, we'd be sitting at a table talking.
Indecision, hesitation, a failure to act can kill a man and his teammates as easily as an enemy bullet. Responding to a combat situation requires aggression and a will to win. Without that, no soldier will survive the rigors of 21st century unconventional warfare.
You have to be an aggressive person. You won't make it through one day of training if you're not an aggressive person by nature. Now, this is very different from rage, and a lot of people will confuse the two. Aggressiveness is what's going to get you through the hard times. But what you have to have combined with that aggressiveness is controlled aggression, okay? You still need to be able to think. You need to be able to make decisions. When you combine those two, you're going to be a good operator.
Often the true nature of what happens in war is masked by a media or a public uncomfortable with the sacrifice combat requires. Every SEAL operator understands his primary mission is seeking out and killing or disrupting the enemy.
Killing an enemy, I mean, that's part of the job description, okay? With the professionals and the majority of the guys I work with, it wasn't something that was really discussed, but it's something that's understood.
SEALs must be more than simply aggressive. Each man must function well within a small group and accept the necessity of sacrifice and trust for each other.
You're an insider or you're an outsider, and it's as simple as that. We're around each other every single day for 2 years doing high-risk stuff, and you learn to rely on each other because, you know, everybody's gained that respect and everybody's earned that trust. If you're an outsider, hey, don't take it personally. You're just not part of the gang.
There is another form of pressure, one not usually associated by the public with being a Special Operations Commando. It's the pressure of maintaining a career balanced with a family life.
Being a SEAL is 100% commitment. Being a family man and being married is 100% commitment. Well, you do the math.
I was probably gone 250 to 300 days a year for my first 3 or 4 years, at least. And it's bad enough we have over 75% divorce rate in the team as it is, so when they're coming straight out of buds, already married, and the women are going through all these deployments, you know, not seeing their husband basically for 18, 19 months out of 2 years, it's real hard on their relationships.
You come back in town for a month, and all of a sudden that month is just a week, and all of a sudden that week is 2 days, and you're off on a plane. Sorry, honey. There's a lot of Dear Johns in the teams.
I think you sort of take what could be an emotion, a marriage, a girlfriend, something like that, and you sort of keep it at bay because it's a vulnerability. It takes away from your ability. Okay, hey, we just lost Mark. Mark's dead. What are we going to do now? Okay, let's continue on. Shrinks would look at us and say, these guys are absolutely nuts. It is a certain kind of mentality that you have to do the job well. And it really is a general numbing of certain emotions. That's just part of it.
But training hard does not guarantee that a warrior will see combat. Despite their desire to fight in battle, most SEALs will never go to war. Not getting in on the action is a primary reason SEALs leave the Navy before their career is over.
I mentioned to guys that have been in the community for 20 years but never saw combat action. To go through all that time and never experience it, you know, you train and you train and you train, but the true test comes when the bullets are coming at you.
Think about it. You've got this group of pit bulls, and you got them in a cage, and you shake the cage around for 18 months, and then you sit them down in the middle of this arena. There's just this frenzy. You can't help it. You're just fired up. And now, boom, jock up, get ready to go, and then, okay, well, hang on, we're going to have to pull you back. Okay, jock up, we're going to have to pull you back. It's called being spun up.
It can be limiting because some of the guys, when they go in, they want this opportunity to do this job. They thrive, they hunger, give me work. Sometimes they sit off the shore on a boat just going, please, let us do our job. Train to go to war, obviously you want to go to war.
You know, the cream rises to the top. These guys all want to be the cream. And when there are things going on in the world, they want to be the first one there. When the call goes out for forces, you better batten the doors because everybody wants a piece of that. That's what we live for.
Every time you get that call, you think you're going in. So mentally, you are peaked out and redlined, and then they send you home. And you say to yourself, Jesus, what did we do all this for? We didn't get in the game. Oh, we didn't even get a look at the game. It's very frustrating.
Every SEAL mission carries with it the potential threat of failure. If one SEAL is wounded or killed, it will take 2 to care for him, reducing fighting strength severely in such a small force.
That's a direct percentage of your firepower. So if you're 6 guys, and that's 15% plus of your firepower down, and if he's carrying an M60, that's 25 or 30% of your firepower gone.
In all of SEAL combat and all of SEAL history, no SEAL has ever been left behind, either missing, dead. They always bring everybody back, and this builds an incredible unit cohesion.
You've got this brotherhood, and it's all or nothing, and that's part of the reason you have that too, that bond, because it's instinctive. If I get shot, I know I'm not going to be sitting there. I know these guys are going to drag me out.
The demands of counterterrorism require the SEALs to hunt down the enemy in a manner consistent with unconventional methods. Calculating, methodical professionals accomplishing the mission is the core belief for every SEAL.
What is a SEAL? A SEAL is a guy who is willing to do whatever's necessary to get the job done. We're all about being the best. It's a part of the history that makes up what SEALs are and what we do. It's the old, God, we can't figure out who to send. Okay, send the SEALs.
You don't send choir boys in to win wars. If you need something done, and you need it done right, you're going to give these guys a call, and they're going to do it.
Life as a Special Operations Commando involves risk. Training on the edge means that sometime, somewhere, someone goes over. Pushing the envelope is always a gamble, and the inherent dangers of this profession cannot be minimized nor protected against. Any romance of the noble warrior fades quickly when vehicles break down, equipment fails, or a man is injured. There is nothing glamorous in overcoming the difficulties encountered from heat, cold, or hunger. Recovering from a mechanical breakdown can tax any man's patience. Oftentimes, there is nothing to do but work the problem and find the solution. Special operations is hard work with no room for complaining. The fact is that dealing with frustration is part of the real world that commandos often find themselves in. Training for war can be tedious, even more so when fatigue and time away from home can affect a man's concentration. Every Spec Ops warrior is, after all, only human. It is the success of the mission that drives these men forward, the belief that what they encounter in training will make them stronger in wartime. Attitude is something that cannot be taught, which is why over 70% of those who apply for special operations duty never make it through training. The goal of training is to be as realistic as possible and unpredictable, keeping the men off balance but under control. The bottom line is that sending in a force to rescue a hostage or kill an adversary is a mission with no room for error.
We're confronted with a lot of different situations, and you've got to have what I call the ability to have controlled violence, if you will. You've got to be able to assess a situation and project the right power for that particular situation, because where a special operations soldier is, normally U.S. objectives are at stake. A lot of times it's at the strategic level.
I mean, let's think about it. You've got a bad scenario, okay? And you need to call in somebody to go in and take care of it. Whether they're looking at it, whether they're shooting it, or whether they're grabbing somebody and hauling ass for it. And you're not going to have the luxury of telling them where it's going to be, and you're not going to have the luxury of telling them when it's going to be. But the folks up with all the stars on their collar need it to be done right, and they need it to be flawless. You're going to want to send the Corvette in, or you're going to go looking for a Yugo? I mean, think about it. You only have one chance to get it right. Don't you want the best?